Immortals, I think, have a lot of really kind of 1-2 item power, on the early game when you have Syndra on the Spell Pen plus Ludens, you have Sett on jungle item, Aatrox on Black Cleaver. These types of power spikes are going to be really, really effective for them. They are missing engage pretty heavily, so that does mean that Immortals generally are going to have more pressure on them to do well in the early game. When you are playing these style of compositions where you can only really engage through flanking, generally the way you win the game is you get ahead early, you set up first at the objective, and then you circumvent your lack of engage by forcing your opponents to come and fight you at Dragons, at Rift Heralds, where you don't really need to have that hard engage. On the other side, though, Dignitas, I think, has much better scaling. Their teamfight engage is great. Obviously, you can fish for hooks and things like that, but the Ashe Arrow plus the Ornn ultimate are going to be pretty consistent as far as actually, finding members from the Immortals squad. So I do think that there's, a fair bit of pressure on Immortals to do well early on.
And I'm going to go ahead and just go on record right now before the game even starts. I don't like that from Immortals. I think that all too often, teams that seem to be all aboard the struggle bus here in the LCS, teams that are struggling to find wins, the team coordination isn't where it needs to be, they draft themselves into this corner by going, let's play something that the LPL or G2 could pop off with. You're not in the LPL. You're not G2. You need engage mechanisms. Now, they might be able to prove me wrong. They might be able to say, Captain Flowers, you are dumb, and there is a reason you are not the smart caster. And if they do, I will say, all right, boys, fair enough. But I have seen this story so many times, Isaac. So many times.
Yeah. I mean, I'm with you. And here's the thing. Even if it does work, it doesn't always prove that it was the smartest decision to go for, right? It's fairly common, so it's not like they're doing something super, out there and super weird. But I'm actually, in agreement with you. I'm not really a fan of these style of compositions. I do think that the win conditions are much more narrow than that of, what their opponents are playing. Dardoch is actually going Ignite. Ignite, Smite, Phase Rush.
Oh, baby,
Holy
it's Chad Graves in the jungle, looking for the PvP power, making sure that you are never going to contest him 1v1. You are never going to fight him for no Scuttle Crab. Every single time this man is on your screen, you better be walking away. At the same time, if he goofs up, the dude is 200% dead, and everybody is going to flame this summoner spell choice.
I wonder if it was an accident. I'm not sure. They are going to see Dignitas going by for the invade. Thankfully for Immortals, they're starting up on the top side, so it can be some of that vertical jungling. When you do go up against this Ignite style, it's really uncommon, let's be honest. You do see it sometimes from things like Hecarim, Shaco, it's really common. Sometimes, every once in a while, you'll see someone try to do it as a bit of a cheese pick or kind of like a 1v1 style counter. When you're doing that alongside Phase Rush, it is going to make your dueling power so good against the Sett. There's not really much hope that Sett has in the early stages. If you do run into the 1v1 with Graves kiting you out and being able to drop the Ignite as well, that can be pretty brutal. And Xmithie is actually not going straight towards the red. Because he's actually seeing his mid lane get pushed in, he doesn't necessarily have that option, so he's just going to straight up be behind a couple camps. He's doing a full clear of his blue side of the jungle. Sure, he can go over to the Raptors, but most of those are gone. The red buff is gone. So there's not going to be a ton for him to do, and this level 1 start is already great for Dignitas, and I think the Ignite, let's just assume it was intentional, and we'll go from there. Makes sense in the context of having multiple pushing lanes. If you think that Azir can just shove out mid constantly, and you have Ashe, which is pretty strong push on the bottom side, if you think that they're going to be able to push constantly too, then maybe it makes sense. Hey, take this really aggressive summoner choice, constantly invade, look to slam this Sett, because we talked about how Immortals should have pressure on them to win the game early. And if they are not ahead early, and Sett is getting pushed behind because of this, then hey, maybe it's going to pay off.
And you could see that, as you said, Dardoch took most of those Raptors, but not all of them, so Xmithie did have to take a little bit of extra time to clear those remaining 2 away from the rest of the camp. And Dardoch now back in his own side of the jungle. His farm isn't super far ahead of Xmithie because although he did get the initial camp advantage, his pathing has had to be incredibly inefficient to go from red to red and then skip the rest of the camps and go down to his own blue. His priority on not trading back any of his buffs has rendered him without a whole lot of great early pathing to keep that lead pumping early. But now he still has plenty of camps left to farm, whereas Xmithie is waiting on those to respawn.
And that's the key, right? That is exactly what it is about. He's actually going to double scuttle him as well. Because, again,
he's getting too crabbed.
Yeah, they're constantly shoving in mid. So Insanity's not able to move. It really limits Xmithie's options when your mid lane is going to be locked in there. If you try to invade, you'll get stuff taken away. This is actually pretty smart from Xmithie, assuming that the Wolves would still be up. These players obviously are trying to track as much as possible where their opponent's path would be. You're seeing that he's going to be able to sneak something away, but the big deal here is that he double crabs him. He has more camps still to farm, and now he's right on top of Allorim.
Allorim face checking that brush, takes multiple autos on the first half of the end of the line there. So Dardoch immediately doing big favors for Lourlo up there in that top lane. As Xmithie shows up bottom side, flash into the face breaker, but he's not going to grab the stuns. aphromoo tries to get himself away. Nice hook onto Xmithie underneath the turret. The last turret shot won't come out in time. It's both summoners from Aphro in exchange for the flash and heal from the side of Immortals.
Yeah, that was kind of just, I think, a bit of a desperation gank. It wasn't the best setup, but Xmithie knows he really has nothing to do. So he's got to try to get someone ahead on his team. He's got to try to create some sort of window of opportunity. And Allorim, they're actually stacking the wave. Because Xmithie showed down there on the bottom side, this is just absolute sadness as a top laner. When you see that wave slow pushing, when your jungler shows other side of the map, you just have to leave. You don't even get to get experience and farm here. So now Xmithie is running straight to top. He can try to get back towards this turret, but there's a TP, double TP.
It's a 2v2 that's about to become a 3v3. Dardoch still has the ignite, keep it in mind. Dignitas looking to get themselves away. Dardoch going to be under fire. First blood over to Fenix, and Dignitas have found the first kill of the game. Insanity will try to get himself away. Dardoch's walking out with 100 HP, and Dignitas make the play.
Nicely done. They're able to make it happen. Chunking out Xmithie and Allorim early and just try to block off that kind of path towards that tower. And meanwhile, the wave was actually good for Dignitas mid lane too. So Allorim trying to move back up, but he's getting zoned off the tower so heavily. Dardoch comes over the top, starts getting damage down on Xmithie. He still has the ignite, he still has the phase brush. And as Allorim goes in, he's just so low that the ignite alone, plus a little bit of Sand Soldier damage from Fenix, was enough to get the kill. And now
Flash ain't gonna do that.
That's true. Flash doesn't do damage. Why are you taking it?
Bunch of noobs out here taking Flash every game. Everybody should be taking Ignite. As Fenix shuffles Insanity right back towards Dardoch's waiting arms and a barrel full of death. That is 2 kills for the Dignitas squad. And now they will march down into this bottom half of the river, and Dardoch should be able to take himself this first Drake. No contest.
And that is just so smart. The reason that they go for that gank, you're like, why would a Graves go for a lane gank? It's because the flash was forced up on the top side. Insanity tried to chase in to actually finish off Dardoch when they had that 3v3 up by the top lane turret. So knowing that the flash is down on him and that flash is up for Fenix, it's essentially a guaranteed knock-in from the Azir. And then Graves just has to be there for a little bit of added damage, and that's going to be an easy-peasy kill over on Syndra. And this early game is just going terrible for Immortals.
And Dardoch is coming back to the enemy red buff, wants to make sure that Xmithie never gets to see any of these things throughout the course of the whole game. Xmithie's doing a good job at staying caught up in farm, but when you're losing all the important camps, when you're losing all those buffs, it still feels bad. Dardoch likely going to need these Krugs here to hit that level 6. If Dardoch can grab this big Krug and hit level 6 in time for this minion wave to clash, they're going to have a real bad time there. For the Immortals bottom 6. Lane. Okay, let's see if they can make it happen. Dignitas still only level 5 for both bottom laners, so there's no arrow, there's no box. Dardoch's going to walk over the control ward, doesn't bother to shoot it, just kind of going to live and let live with that one. And now paths back towards what could be the mid lane. And you can see on the left side of your screen right there, top 3 in the game. Well, now Apollo went and made me a liar, but for a second there, it was top 3 in the game in terms of gold value on the side of Dignitas. This squad up over 1,000 gold.
Yeah, and Xmithie and Allorim down a couple of sad boys down at the bottom, not having a lot of gold there too.
Sad boy hours in bottom lane, just pumping Lil Peep, sitting there in the dark, playing some League of Legends.
I don't know about you, man, but anytime I play top lane and I know I'm about to get dove and the wave gets stacked and I get dove, I'm feeling pretty sad. So feeling a little bit bad for Allorim up there on the top side, and especially when you consider, you know, you're kind of drafting this early mid-game skirmish comp. Obviously, the game is not over by any means. The Dignitas, you know, has yet to be able to close out a game, so we'll see if they can make things happen with this lead. But the start is fantastic for Dignitas. Now Dardoch spotted on this Herald. Remember, he doesn't have flash, he just used dash.
Yeah, Allorim just having the right timing there, seeing that Dardoch's coming over the wall just as the ward gets placed down. Dardoch does get himself back over safely, but now this is pretty much a TY for leash moment for Immortals. They should be able to take this. I mean, Dardoch's got no flash. There's no world where he comes back into this pit and goes,
you're not just sliding over
I
there?
want the Shelly. I don't see that happening, Isaac.
Just quick draw. Ah!
I'll ignite it.
Exactly.
No, I don't think
if only you could ignite Shelly, you know, then you'd really have the supreme objective control.
Well, unfortunately, that's not the state of the game right now, and Dignitas end up giving the Rift Herald over to their opponents. Maybe Xmithie can drop that for some plates, help get the team back in the game a little bit here in terms of gold. They're still going to have all 4 minutes of it. They managed to secure that before the 10-minute mark, so that means the entire duration is plate viable. As Lourlo and Dardoch, oh no, Allorim. Here comes the Ornn horn. The damage goes through, the CC comes down. There's no point in even thinking about what would happen if he got away, because the man is dead to rights. Dardoch, 2 kills, 1 assist, out farming. The Graves is off the start he wants.
Yeah, definitely having a good start there. And Dardoch and Lourlo, you know, not only have they played together in the past, they played together way back in the day on TL. These guys are good friends. They always like to play off of each other, and Dardoch has had so much success going towards Lourlo lanes in the past. So nice to see those guys reunited and having some success here in the early game. Allorim put very far behind in a matchup that you're not going to really be able to outscale or anything by any means. The Ornn is going to have more use in the team fighting, you know, more use with those ornaments, and you know, it's not a champion.
All right, Apollo's in some trouble down here at the bottom side. Xmithie drops the Rift Herald, and it's going to walk up and grab some play money. We're seeing more players join the mix. Lourlo shows up just to take a quick lantern ride, as now Shelly's going to get popped before she even makes her way down to the turret. That was a terrible use of the Rift Herald. What in the hell was the point of that Rift Herald? He just gets summoned up, and then there's nothing. Nothing coming up afterwards.
Zoning
big
Herald.
misplay there from, I guess. That was a big misplay there from Immortals. That was a chance to try to come back into the game a little bit, use the Rift Herald, knock down the turret, get some of that bonus gold, but now it's all denied.
Yeah, it's definitely rough. I think they didn't expect Dardoch to be there. We'll see if aphromoo wants to go for the flash.
Okay, let's see if they can find their chance here. Dignitas using the power of the Lourlo CC, and they've got the kill onto Apollo, taking advantage of that Aphelios' vulnerabilities in the lane before he scales up, before he becomes unstoppable. Shut him down, make the plays nice and early. Dignitas are at a 2,000 gold lead, Isaac.
Yeah, and I mean, they forced both the summoners early, because honestly, Apollo was just sieging so aggressively. He kind of just walked up to the turret and was autoing it while Hakuho was back behind him, so they got the summoners, and then, yeah, Immortals tried to drop that Herald, and I just don't think that they were really expecting Dardoch to already be there. Then a good TP comes through, and everything is honestly looking pretty bad for Immortals early on here. Dignitas is monstrously ahead with a comp that I think is a lot easier to play out, a lot easier to execute on, and honestly outscales Immortals. So the ball is very much in their court. We'll see what they can do with it.
Ocean Rift as well, so not only is this a potential soul stack for the side of Dignitas, it's an Ocean Soul on a team that has Ornn. You're talking about how Allorim's falling behind in this matchup and how Aatrox isn't going to scale up. I can't wait till we get to see a level 13 Ornn that has upgraded Abyssal Mask and Sunfire Cape stand in the Q3 sweet spot and take 150 damage out of his 3,400 health pool, because that's going to be the story of this Ornn versus Aatrox matchup, and Immortals will have absolutely no answer to this in the side lane. Jungle Sett doesn't go for Blade of the Ruined King, Black Cleaver. He's not one of these like 1v1, beat you around, smack you down type of champions. He plays more for the team. You usually see them get like a Dead Man's Plate into a Gargoyle Stone Plate. They're big initiators. They're meatballs. And this is looking rough, man.
Yeah, I mean, it's really tough because you don't have a side lane win condition truly on the side of Immortals. You're probably going to get out team fought pretty consistently. You know, there's just not a lot going for them, but they will be looking for picks. They will be, you know, trying to disengage on some of the plays, you know, from Dignitas, try to kite it out, see what you can get done. Obviously, there is still a lot of damage potential between Aphelios and Syndra, and that's what they're going to be pretty reliant on here. But the early game has not gone to plan at all for Immortals and Dignitas. You know, honestly, this is the best they've looked, I would say, in any of their games so far this split. And Dardoch coming out pretty hot.
Whoa, Dardoch will be pulled back by the Face Breaker, but Phase Rush is more than enough to get him out of there, make sure that Immortals aren't able to finish the job. Fenix loses the first third of his HP, but Insanity does not have enough power to burst him down, take him out there. Immortals still yet to get on the board here in this game. And as we're about to hit the 14-minute mark, as the turret plates are about to disappear, now I'm looking at what you mentioned earlier, Isaac. Can Dignitas do what they have not been able to do in so many previous games this split and actually keep that momentum going? They need to not only show that they can build these things early on, but that they can stop themselves from then throwing them away in an equally spectacular fashion.
And they're in a great spot to do it. I mean, I think it becomes pretty simple. They won their early game. They have 2 dragons. I just want to see Dignitas setting up, you know, at least a minute early. Oh, the hook is going to connect.
Over the wall they go. 2 versus 1. Hakuho the target. This is not a tanky champion, and that is free money for Dignitas. Johnsun putting 300 in the pocket.
Yeah, nice catch. That's what it can happen when you're actually just recalling on a ward like that. You know, pretty lazy recalls from Immortals, and Apollos did go through, but Allorim now in trouble up here on this top side again.
No, again, it just keeps happening. Allorim has no way out of this, and Dardoch and Lourlo are working together so well here in this top side.
They're looking great. They're just absolutely crushing Allorim. He even flashed there, but Lourlo still tagged him with the redirect of the ultimate, got that knock up, and yeah, I just want to see Dignitas set up, continue to push towards this soul. You have full control in this game. No reason that they should be losing dragons at this point. You know, you can have soul in the next 12 minutes or so here, you know, even 10 minutes, and depending on how fast they take them on spawn, you know, how quickly they're going to be moving towards that. But definitely they shouldn't be giving up any of those dragons because, you know, you take this next one in a minute 30, and then you're going to force your opponents to come to you, you know, for that potential final fight 5 minutes thereafter. And I really want to see Dignitas continue to look for that.
And this is just such a tough situation for Immortals, especially with that Herald now being picked up by the side of Dignitas. This time around, Dardoch was not interrupted when he took it. They made sure that they got the Herald off the back of making a play top. So now they can use that Shelly as a distraction somewhere else to guarantee they get that 3rd Drake, make sure they put themselves on soul point, and just continue putting the screws to Immortals as we progress through this game and get ever closer to what looks like it should be the first Dignitas win of the split, commanding a 3,000 gold lead with the scaling power of an Ornn and an Azir at 16 minutes. That's 2 thumbs up from me, Isaac. That's exactly what I would like to see on one of my teams when I'm playing League of Legends.
Yeah, they are looking great, and here they are trying to deny some of this vision. They haven't fully swept it out, of course, but you know, Dardoch just base. He's coming back. He has 2 pinks. You can see pinks in a lot of the inventory here of the bot lane, etc. So they are going to start to try to clear out all this vision together. They are looking to do a really quick dragon take and try to get it, you know, even much faster than that, you know, 10 minutes or so that I was talking about earlier. You know, they obviously could do both on spawn and have soul here in like 6 minutes, which is pretty much GG. When you have Ocean Soul plus the front line, the opponents just aren't really able to actually punch through the Ornn at all in that case, and they're on it. It is spotted, but I don't even know if Immortals can really do anything. Like, Xmithie's not even looking like he's going to be there in time to even try.
Arrow fired over the wall just to make sure nobody was going to try to come in there and stop him, and there you go. 3 Drakes for Dignitas. The gold lead has shrank down to about 2,000 now. Immortals walking up here. Xmithie moving forward, but don't really see what the opportunity could even be for him to find. Xmithie is aware that Dardoch is over the wall. Maybe if Dardoch sticks around on his lonesome as he tries to get himself away with the ulti, but now Xmithie using the flash to try to bring him back. And when your Sett flash ulti doesn't result in a kill in a 3v1, that's not it. That's not it.
It's definitely looking rough. Dardoch just procs the phase rush and just scoots on out of there. Even able to drop the Ignite. I do believe he's playing Nimbus Cloak, so Ignite for speed up, relatively short cooldown there. That plus Phase Rush, he just slides on out of there, no problem. And yeah, that's Flash, that's ult. You are down 2 levels to this Graves, who is getting ridiculously strong, even with Circle Greaves, which you don't usually see in competitive play. It's more of like the solo QS style, where you're really snowballing and want that extra attack speed. And Immortals, like, I know the gold isn't that far behind, but I just feel like the game's over, to be honest with you.
It's the compositions, right? It's not the fact that the game's 2,500, 3,000 gold apart. It's the fact that you've got Aatrox with no advantage whatsoever over an Ornn that is 1 level away from getting 3,000 gold's worth of free stats. It's the fact that Azir has been able to free farm and is just scaling up as much as he wants. It's the fact that the Graves is just about at Black Cleaver here, and your Sett hasn't really found the opportunity to get these engages he's looking for. Everything's just coming up Dignitas here in this mid-game as they're looking to push down mid lane and secure their second turret of the match. Let's see if they have the power to do it. A couple more auto attacks onto this are going to be required even after the Shelly charge. Arrow comes through. Insanity will be kept safe there. Mikhail's Crucible purchased by Hakuho to get rid of that stun and make sure the Immortals mid laner stays alive.
I think that's a really smart buy from Hakuho, but yeah, I mean, everything you said, plus the fact that they don't have any side laning or engage to make it even worse, right? So it's just like, there's not a lot of ways you can actually win this game besides just hoping that your opponents mess up repeatedly, like over and over and over, pretty much.
Yeah.
This is not even one of those games where it's like you get one pick and then you win the game. They are so far behind and are going to have to be fighting against Soul the whole way through. So this is, a really, really rough one from Immortals. I think that Dignitas deserves a lot of credit for how they actually played this one out. I think the level 1 start from Dardoch, the invade, utilizing this Phase Rush Ignite Graves has been really, really good. Fenix as well as Johnsun just constantly pushing in waves, trying to extend that lead for Dardoch, allowing him to have the freedom to go wherever he wants, to get whatever he wants done. And he has been the recipient of a lot of that help and made it pay off as, he's sitting 3-0-2. He's going to have his Black Cleaver here very shortly. We'll definitely have it before the next dragon does come up for that soul fight. And I think at that point, we're just going to see Immortals commit to a fight and pray it goes their way.
Unfortunately, I think Immortals are about 4 items on Aphelios away from being able to win a team fight. Looking at this game, I'm not even just trying to be cheeky or sassy in saying this. Looking at where the gold is, looking at how far ahead Dignitas are in this match, I think 6-item Aphelios pulling off some crazy 200 years team fight is the Immortals win condition.
Yeah.
Other than that, I don't see where it comes from.
I actually don't, I still think that they probably would just lose. If you're talking 6 items versus 6 items, I still think that they don't really have much of a chance, unless it's a really big misplay from their opponents, like they're all 5 stacks and get an Infernum ultimate or something. Because, one of the things with Aphelios is that your range is fairly low, and it can be difficult to actually fight into champions like Azir, who can actually create these zones of, control with the Sand Soldiers, because he has so much more range than you, and you're always going to be, at threat of getting flash flayed or shuffled in and things like that. So it's actually really difficult, I think, to play this one out for Aphelios, but we'll see if Immortals can get anything done. Next dragon, 40 seconds, and that's where Dignitas is looking for Soul, which pretty much would close out this game. Immortals has a chance, maybe if they can find, a pick with Insanity, hit someone with Scatter the Weak, burst someone down to start the fight, then you're starting to see some opportunity.
And honestly, Immortals feel a little bit more comfortable pushing into this bottom side river than they otherwise would, because Johnsun just split the uprights there with the arrow, wasn't able to find a mark with that one, so they know that the arrow's not around to set up one of those picks for the side of Dignitas. So Immortals, though, then immediately have to re-yield that position, because once everybody shows up from the side of Dignitas, they know that a 5v5 does not favor them. There's that Ocean Drake landing in the pit, spawning up, and as soon as it is available, it is now aggro. Dignitas looking to go for this Ocean Soul, daring Immortals to come stop them. Allorim getting himself grabbed by the death sentence, has to flash away, and now the fight's going to be breaking out. Damage coming through, Dardoch going down. Ladies and gentlemen, Immortals have found a pick. They have found a way into the fight. They go for it and are rewarded. But can Dignitas find their counterattack now? Ornn able to find the knock-up onto the IMT top laner. A nice death sentence coming down onto Xmithie, but that's going to be cleansed away by the Mikhails. Immortals now trying to find a little bit more damage. Johnsun will barely walk away from this one. Phoenix without a lot of mana to work with, but is trying to command that range that Azale was talking about earlier. Dignitas do not want to fully relinquish control over this area. Aphromoo and Phoenix sticking around. Johnsun has TP. He's looking to rejoin. Remember, with Dardoch being the one dead, Dignitas has no smite secure. They have no objective control through summoner spells here. Allorim over the wall, forced to dash back out. Immortals, the same as Dignitas, not willing to concede this territory. Neither side will walk away from this one.
Problem. Insanity never got to base and TP back, so he's actually still low. Lourlo and Johnsun refilled. Their jungler is here first, so looking like it's just going to be Dignitas Soul.
There it is. Secured by Johnsun, as you're seeing Lourlo zone everybody from Immortals away, but they're being zoned right into the Shadow Realm now, ladies and gentlemen. There's the Soul, there's 3 kills, there's the victory march towards the Baron Pit from Dignitas. That is all she wrote. Sign on the dotted line and put this one away.
Yeah, this one is very, very over at this point. Immortals honestly just basically put up no fight this game whatsoever. It felt like their draft was really, really off to me. They left themselves very few win conditions. Dignitas closed the door on those within the first couple minutes of the game, it felt like. And this one is honestly a slaughter, which is a shock to see that it is our winless team who is actually slamming Immortals after a lot of people were actually pretty hot on Immortals, all things considered. Feeling like at the very least, they were significantly better than their record did show. This roster swapped in. They actually, took a win immediately. Then they lost to Cloud9, but they were competitive against, TL. They were competitive against, I want to say it was like EG too. So they have had some very close games. And to go from that to playing against this team that everyone's kind of looking at as the gimme game is getting flipped completely on its head.
And that's one of the things that I think deserves criticism a lot, particularly of middle-of-the-pack LCS teams usually, is consistency. It doesn't matter if you can take games off of the top teams and stay close with
16 versus 12, by the way.
Oh my goodness, it is actually a 4-level difference, as Allorim is winning out in this battle here at the start. he will get away, but now the rest of Dignitas has showed up, and no, the point I was making as they're just going to bulldoze all these structures down, does it really matter if you can stay competitive with some of the better teams if at the same time you can lose 10-1 against the worst team in the league? There's some serious consistency issues there that these teams have to be able to address, because as you're talking about, it just seems kind of crazy that this is the reality that we're in after the week that Immortals had last time with those close games. As the Ornn sounds off, the turret goes down, the death sentence comes out, Insanity gets away, now the counterattack's coming through, Dardoch barely getting himself back, Phoenix goes on a killing spree, aphromoo also just limping away from the fight, but nobody on Dignitas is down. What is that, ladies and gentlemen? That's right, it's an Ocean Soul, and those health bars are just going to continue to climb back up slowly but surely. Immortals will try to hold the line, but the death sentences do not stop. Aphromoo is dialing these in today, and there you go. Phoenix able to throw that enemy AD carry right back to the rest of his team. Insanity will try to escape from Lourlo. He'll stay alive, but now he is separated from the remaining Nexus turret and his remaining 2 teammates. Dignitas trying to stick around, and in this one right here, Dardoch making sure to interrupt the back, giving the Teemo thumbs up. See you later, bro. As Dignitas are on to the Nexus now. Xmithie will try to hold the line with the Haymaker shield, but he will not hold for long. Insanity is taken down by the end of the line, and it is just that for Immortals. It took 9 games, but Dignitas will finally secure their first win of the summer split.